Hello everyone and welcome. Today is the second video in a series where we discuss gear and gearing strategies for Dark and Darker. If you missed the start of the series, I'm including a link to the first installment in the description below. To briefly summarize the conclusions we drew from that conversation, they are as follows. Gear items are essentially a container for stats. Attributes, such as strength, agility, will, etc., scale up on the white line with rarity ascending. Enhancements, like plus movement speed, plus max health, plus physical power, these roll in a range when the item drops, and the number of enhancements on a given item increase with item rarity, blue lines ascending. Stats profoundly impact the way in which your character will perform. From your health and tankiness to your speed, what spells you have access to in a given build, to the damage you can deal, and to everything in between. Some classes, class ability, and talents scale better with stats than others. Purposely concentrating on specific stats and assembling gear which contain those stats, at the exclusion of stats you do not desire or dead stats, are referred to as builds. Gear and gearing strategy are essentially the end game of Dark and Darker. Gear is the most significant game system you will interact with. I'd like to thank everyone who participated in the discussion in the comments section on the first video. A very solid set of feedback. My goal with all these videos is to be as accurate and informative as possible. I would also like to be as detailed as time and the subject matter allows. First things first, I want to thank Phoenix42.0, as he pointed out in the comments that I was considering in my last tabulations both weapon slot 1 and weapon slot 2 into the power budget calculations, and both sets cannot be active at the same time. As a result, I've updated, corrected, and refactored some of our work from the first discussion to exclude weapon set 2 across all item rarities. I've also taken into account some poor formatting in the presentation, which I was arguably mislabeling as a power differential. I've updated these calculations to be more accurate and more readable. But most importantly, I want to more clearly frame the overall conversation. The purpose of both this framework and these tables is to illustrate where we can find the most value in our gearing choices. Yes, this is an abstraction. Yes, I am hand-waving away a fair bit of complexity. I don't do this lightly, but as a primer, I feel it serves us well and allows us to draw solid conclusions, both theoretical and practical. Lastly, one vocal minority of commenters from our last installment seemed focused on how gear and gear advantage is not nearly as important as these data points suggest, or taken to the extreme, that gear advantage is always trumped by player agency and skill. To that I say, I accept at face value that this is your experience, and I'm very happy for you. You are consistently able to leverage your superior game knowledge and mechanics to overcome differences in gearing. Good news. If you felt I was overly dismissive of player agency and player skill in our last conversation, today's discussion is a love letter to it, and to you, and that playstyle in general. But for the rest of us, the broader purpose of this discussion is to explore ways to organize our playtime. Firstly, to develop a gear advantage in order to be more broadly competitive. Secondly, to then leverage that gear advantage towards the accumulation of both greater wealth and greater in-game knowledge. Finally, to be able to thrive inside the game on our own terms and from a position of relative strength. As we move deeper into this series, it's my intention to touch on each approach to gearing in the appropriate level of detail. At each junction, we are going to break down some of the commonalities across all of them and discuss some of the best practices for obtaining the specific gear you're looking for, and better yet, holding on to it. If you've watched any Dark and Darker content on YouTube or Twitch, you may be familiar with what appears to be the most popular, the most successful, the most titillating approach to gearing in the game. Yes, I am talking about 0 to hero. The premise is rather simple. You go into the run with nothing, just your wits and your starting equipment. You tackle adversity heads on, and you extract with a much stronger character and a resulting Massive possible gain in both power and wealth. Here is what you must do to implement this strategy yourself. Outplay every adversary while at an initial gear disadvantage. Win every PvP fight, 1v1s, 1v2s, 1v3s. Loot any gear you fancy from the bodies of your victims. Then extract. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Okay, all jokes aside, this is a valid and profitable approach to gearing, if you can consistently execute it. This is no small feat. I mean, all it takes is some combination of great mechanics, reflexes, good positioning, a deep understanding of the game's interclass dynamics and cooldown windows, situational and spatial awareness, map knowledge, intricate map knowledge, and a bit of luck. There exists in this game players who can take this approach and consistently extract with positive, if not massive, gains for their stashes and for their overall wealth. But given that this is the most popular format on streaming platforms, we don't have to think very hard about why Dark and Darker has such a high bounce-off rate for new players. Seriously, to do a zero to hero run consistently is very, very hard. To do it across multiple runs in a series while entertaining an audience, it's even harder. These players deserve a lot of respect. I'd like to give a shout out. If you enjoy this kind of content, take a look at Red's Dark and Darker YouTube channel. He's a wizard main. He fits this description very nicely, but he also has somehow the mental bandwidth to narrate his thought process while he's playing, which is just frankly absurd, near superhuman levels of game skill. He also does this without a lot of edits or exclusions of pre-fight fight setups and post-fight resets, which is commendable. I've included a link to his channel in the description below, if you'd like to check it out. I want to encourage each of you to try your own zero to hero runs, at least once, or perhaps from time to time, as a stretch goal, as a personal challenge for yourself, or to calibrate how your knowledge of the game has improved over time. It costs you nothing except the time for the run. But I also want to actively discourage you from adopting this approach as your overall gearing strategy. The upsides do include big positive swings in wealth and gear. The downsides, particularly if you cannot consistently execute this angle, you will find yourself at best treading water from a gear and wealth perspective, but worst case, broke, frustrated, and filled with despair. But let's take a step back and examine the taxonomy of a zero to hero run. What are some of the effective tips that we can glean from this genre as a viewer and apply it to our own games? Let's take a look at some of this content, not from an entertainment perspective, but let's instead use them as educational opportunities for skill transfer and improvements to our own game knowledge. I'm asking you to lean in. Pause videos as you are watching them and ask questions. Why did he just do that here? What was she thinking there? Should I attempt, an angle like this in my own games? If you want to get the most out of this approach to this kind of content, it starts with identifying the right content to watch. Like Red's channel that I mentioned a moment ago, his videos, look for creators who are publishing full, uninterrupted games with little to no editing. Look for sessions where they play multiple raids back to back in the same or slightly augmented kits. Pay attention to how they are organizing and optimizing their gear between runs. Consistency is king if you employ this approach. So we want to develop habits which, through repetition, bring us closer to success. I have a considerable amount of time in Dark and Darker. I have been playing since playtest 3. I'm still learning more about the game using exactly this method. Here's a list of some of the most important lessons I've learned from watching very skilled players at the top of their games. Always reset before looting your kills. Apply meds, drop fires, reload bows, restock your belt items before you start picking through the inventories of the player you just killed. The kill you just got isn't going anywhere, and the fight you just had may draw other interested parties. The next thing I've learned is limited, if any, looting. What I mean by that, high skill players don't open common chests, coffins, etc. It's not worth their time. Some exceptions may be made for like lion's head, golden chests, royal coffins, etc. But avoiding common loot items and looting through them, this gives them a lot more time to traverse the map, to gain awareness of who and which classes are operating in their AOs, as well as granting potential initiative if a conflict does break out. Rarely, if ever, will a chest contain something as good as what you are likely to loot off the player you kill. Next tip. Upgrade your gray, white, and green items into blue quality items as quickly as possible, starting with your weapon or spell focus. This is partially the inspiration for the mathematics that drove this conversation. Across the board, you will see that high skill cap players will immediately jettison gray, white, and green items toward blue items with a preference towards weapons and spell focuses. Next tip, have two plans in your head before you take any fight. Those plans are, what if the fight goes well, and what if the fight doesn't? Next tip, resets. If you're unsure if you can win, break contact and reset. Door off your adversary or try to put them into PvE or place AI between you and them. Never all in on your adversary until you are 100% certain that you can trade blows and win. This often includes whittling down your opponent with ranged attacks first. Gaining this level of limit-tested knowledge can be extremely painful. Avoid or head directly towards high player traffic areas on the map, depending on what your objective is. If you're looking for a fight, heading into a high traffic area is a great plan. If you're looking to avoid a fight, heading into a high traffic area is a very bad plan. All right, last tip. Don't be the second party in a third party encounter. This list kind of goes on and on. It's quite lengthy. I would say I've learned about as much from observing skilled players and asking questions than I have in the totality of my first party experience. What are some of the tips you guys have picked up and incorporated into your games and into your playstyle? I'd love to hear them. Please share them for group discussion in the comments below. As I said in our last conversation, leveraging player skill to overcome gear differentials is hard. All gaming at its core is about identifying and leveraging our advantages to win. Today we've discussed the often tried and rarely successful zero to hero strategy. As I've said, I think this is the hardest strategy to implement. It's the least friendly to new players, and it's the least accessible to the game's community at large. For these reasons, I strongly discourage you from pursuing this as your lone gearing strategy. Ultimately, which strategy you do choose to employ will be determined by how you enjoy playing the game. That may be crafting your own gear sets, that may be manipulating the player-driven economy for fun and profit by flipping items in the trade channel. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. It helps me a ton. In the next installment, we will be covering a personal favorite of mine, how to rat your way to better gear and wealth beyond your imagination. After that, I plan on covering gearing up through crafting and economics. I'll be honest with you, I've been low-key sleeping on the recent changes to crafting, but I've been playing around with it over the last week or so, and I see tons of potential here. If anyone out there is interested in having a conversation with me about some of the successes you've found using the new crafting system, contributing to that upcoming episode, please direct message me here. I'd love to hear your point of view. Anyway, thanks for your patience. This long-form content takes a surprising amount of time to get right, and until next time, good fortunes to you in your runs to come. In the background of this episode, while we've been having this conversation, is a 3-man high roller rat run. I'm going to allow it to continue to play out. I'm going to bring the volume levels back up to normal so you can hear our exciting banter as we clear Inferno. Regardless, Koopa out.
Man, the room we're about to go into is garbage loot, too. We can cross over underneath, go to the other side, but then we're gonna have to come back. I don't know.
I think we just want to go
We
north.
have to go north, or we just skip to the next room.
We lose too much time. I mean, if you want to kill this centaur, we can open up that hole and use the spider hole to kill him. I'll leave it up to you.
If you want, I don't know. I don't know if we have enough time.
Nah, let's not push it.
There's a dog. I'm gonna pull the dog. Got pinned.
Got you, fam.
Yeah, he almost had me. He got pinned again right before you guys killed him.
Nightmare. Nightmare. For that centaur, don't pull that guy by accident.
Yeah, he can walk down further too.
Try to avoid those lingering fart claws. We're gonna have another one too. There's another farter over there.
Hug left wall.
Another centaur, another farter. We might be able to skip if we
Yeah,
can get
need
this
to-
open and start clearing.
Pull something out of there when you open it. Yeah, bring it back to it.
We might get this farter. Oh no.
I just hear somebody else down
I thought
here.
I heard a skeleton activate northwest.
Yeah, I thought I did too. Yeah, there's somebody in this room to our left, west.
They just holy struck the door.
Careful, bat. God damn.
Bat.
That's bad. Putting the fire down. It's
Get
going
away from
down.
the farts.
Fucking clouds are ridiculous.
Yeah. Putting it down right here.
Pretty sure I heard a portal open north of us. I think that's a solo rat cleric over there, boys.
I think it is, yeah.
I think he was just trying to say fuck off. There's 6 portals, 7 portals. He can have one. I don't care.
It was just one arrow.
Oh, okay.
We gotta move it in. I don't want to be in this room anymore.
Oh, perfect. That's gated?
Yeah. where the handle is for this? To open this up?
Nope.
I mean,
Gotta
enough
be
with the
around here
fucking
somewhere,
farts.
right?
He's got a portal open on the far side.
Yeah.
I got another one right here if I can get it open.
Yeah, he's a lone cleric. He's ratting over there.
Open this one up. That'll be 2 right here.
Our third one just opened just inside this room. I think
Oh,
on
there's
the
the
right.
door. There's the door.
I don't see the third one. There's one in the middle of this room. It's going to require a lot of clearing. Fuck me.
Clear other side of the room with the open portal.
Yeah, it's a cleric. I did crouchies.
Move. I can pull this stuff and just run to the portal. And you can go and open it, Bruce.
Okay.
Oh, he's pulling it. He pulled it for us. I'm gonna take this portal. You guys find portals. Find
Alright,
portals.
we got it.
I'm out.
I had to make a split decision there. I ended up dropping this really nice padded. I didn't have room to grab it because I got a arming sword. That you may be interested in, Kovac.
Yeah, okay.
Or I
That
mean,
was all-
Kigs if you want a melee.
I might take an arming sword, but not right at the moment because of what I'm currently holding.
35 base damage. Actually, it's not very well rolled. It is epic. It's got armor pen, debuff duration, and memory capacity. I should have kept the rawhides.
36, you said?
35.
Yeah, I'll take it. Just bring it in for me.